Mel Tempest is known as a fitness business influencer, hands-on health club owner, ebook author, and presenter. Mel has known to be controversial, challenges the status quo, and lives outside the square. Her skill set is current on trend, savvy, and in demand. Her primary goal is to get more health club owners moving towards innovation, technology, and social media success. Her own success comes through tough and humble beginnings. Mel Tempest now presents to you the Gym Owners Podcast, more than just the business of fitness, proudly supported by National Fitness Business Alliance.
Good afternoon, it's Mel Tempest from the Gym Owners Business Podcast. Today on our coffee podcast, I'm speaking to Cam McDonald, Managing Director of Health Professionals at ph360. ph360 uses complex algorithms developed by their researchers to translate the distinct relationship between your body's measurements and physical traits to its physical functions, hormone secretions, metabolism, and lifestyle preferences. Good afternoon, Cam.
G'day, Mel. Great to be here.
You're very welcome. That was a bit of a tongue twister for me, but I got through it to the end.
You did very well.
Now, I'm really excited about ph360 because after I spoke to you last week, I sort of got off our Skype call and thought, wow, what a fantastic tool. I really hope the listeners get a lot out of our coffee podcast today. So let's not waste any time. Let's get stuck straight into it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so ph360 is very much about the recognition that everybody is different and needs something different, and particularly in terms of their health. So we've, over the last 17 years, there's been a huge amount of research to truly understand what's going on for different bodies, why they get results, why they make decisions, why they don't get results, why they don't make some decisions, and also what's going to put them into their best health as well. And now we're at a point where in about 35 minutes, we can measure someone's genes. We can also measure which genes are turned on and which genes are turned off. And then the app, which is incredibly powerful for personal trainers and health professionals, even doctors, the app then says, right, well, regardless of what you've done in the past, this is what you need to do to go forward to be in your best health. And it gives that in a very, very easy to use format on an app. It effectively says, rather than, you've got the RS517 55 gene that gets as complex as the introduction that you gave today. This is all about just eat spinach. And if you eat spinach this many times per week and you do it with these other things and you do it at this time of day, then you're going to be in your best health. So some of the biggest issues that we see, particularly, the gym scene and the fitness industry is such an important player in the game of the nation's health. And gyms have a real opportunity to really create a community that people want to engage in and will actually see their best health come as a result of being there. And so some of the things that really influence those, why a person comes to a gym and sticks around, and I'm sure we all know this so much, is whether they're getting results or not, whether they've had injuries or whether they've got an injury, and how much they feel like they belong. And when we start talking about those three things, we're actually now we're actually now able to predict what a person is going to require, not from an exercise point of view, not only from an exercise point of view, not from just a food point of view, but also from a community point of view. And this is all actually linked into their genes, and it's all done in a way that makes it really, really simple to measure. So some of the examples of why we actually need to personalize our health a little bit more, because a lot of PTs and gym owners might be out there saying, well, I really don't need to do anything different. Most people that I treat are getting a good result, and that's what I want. What we're looking for is making sure everybody gets a result. And when we look at even foods, some people need a bucket load of vegetables. Other people actually need a little bit less. And even the timing of that food can mean the difference between weight loss and weight gain. There's been a number of people that I've taken through the platform, which is quite basic once you get it up and running. Literally just by changing the timing of their foods, their weight loss tripled in the next month, just from understanding when their body actually needs it. And all that information is actually provided in the app. We then look at things like exercise. Some people absolutely thrive doing strength training and they get fitness results across the board, whereas you put that same person into an endurance or a HIIT class and they actually do very poorly, and it can actually create more stress for their body as well. So the idea of understanding the person in front of you means that you can actually make a recommendation when they join your community to say, look, your body is going to do far better if you exercise in the evening and you do some strength classes followed by some aerobics, as opposed to another body who's going to do really, really well doing a HIIT class first thing in the morning, and then increasing their food intake as they go through the day, while the other person actually needs to decrease their food intake as they go through the day. So normally when people turn up to a gym, they're offered it depends on the level of support that's provided, but there's often a bit of a generic approach to the way we do strength training, the way we do endurance training, and even meal planning and things like that. And that needs to change in order for people to really get the result that they're there for. And the changes that we see just with those exercise and nutrition alone are absolutely profound. I caught up with a few of my friends down in New Zealand when I was there last, and one of my friends, she just finished a 12-week boot camp out of her local gym. She was on a fairly standard meal plan, high protein, low calorie, which all looked, appropriate for a normal weight loss type attempt. In that 12 weeks, she gained 0.5 kilo and got a bad knee. And as it turns out, genetically, her collagen, and this is something that's very easily determined in the test, her collagen doesn't do well with cold temperatures in the morning. It doesn't do well with high impact exercise in the morning. And her body gets stressed if she does stuff that's stressful in the morning as opposed to the night. So the recommendations were to just stop doing the boot camp, go and train in the afternoon, and then also just to change the timing of her food. And over the next 2 weeks, she lost 4 kilos, whereas before she was banging her head against the wall, doing the wrong exercise and the wrong food at the wrong time. And it's as simple as a 30-minute sit down with somebody to get that kind of information sorted. So one of the biggest things that we want as ph360 is that everybody can actually eliminate chronic disease and pain and be in their best state of health. And in order to achieve that, we need to have people eating and exercising at the right time, doing the right thing. And then finally, the mindset side of things is also really, really important for the different bodies. So probably this has been the most fascinating stuff for me is that some people have completely different brains to others. And I think we all know people in our life. Some people are kind of angry and a little bit aggressive. Other people are more passive and don't like to be rushed. Some people just love hanging out with people all the time. And, what you're doing in that time doesn't really matter. Other people just like information. They like to be given lots of information. So there's lots of different brain types. And this is actually measured in the app as well. And the reason why this is important is because if you have someone walk into your gym and you've got your MC or your PT talking to them about what they want out of this, and they're an information person and you're not providing any information, there's a very good chance you'll lose trust with that person straight away. Whereas if you're an information person and that's what you're giving to everyone who walks in the door, but you come across a person who needs a lot more nurture and actually needs a relationship with you and they're not interested in the information, which is very common for a good percentage of the population, then they won't feel like that you actually care, because even though you're trying to care through the information you're giving, it doesn't resonate with them. They actually just like being looked after. Whereas another group altogether will just want to be put to work. They'll just want to be challenged straight away. Let's get into this. Let's just start and let's learn through a bit of pain. And they're not going to want to sit there while you're giving them a hug to nurture. They're not going to want to sit there through lots of information, and they're definitely not going to, but they really just want to get into action and feel what it is that what it's going to be like in the gym. So these three elements, the nutrition, the exercise, and the mind, are absolutely vital to people actually getting the results that they want. And with the technology that we've got now, we can measure all of this stuff in about 35 minutes, as I said. The client walks away with an application that tells them exactly when to eat. It gives them advice on what to eat. It even recommends recipe suggestions that they can put together with the foods that are best for them on a genetic level. It also gives recommendations and suggestions around the best type of exercise, the best timing of exercise, how intensely they should be exercising those sessions. And then, for the trainer and even for themselves, they get a lot of information into how their brain works. Because when you start reducing mental stress, you start improving results as well. And people start feeling like they are in the right place. When we start talking about community, there are so many ways that you can engage the different brains, and it actually needs a slightly different touch. So let's say you're putting on a barbecue, for your members, something like that. Some people are going to need, the welcome to the community. Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate that you're here and contribute. They're going to love to bring a plate of food, whereas other people are going to be there to see how they're going in compared to everybody else when it comes to how often they're coming to the gym. They're going to want that ranking. They're going to want to know whether they're winning or losing the gym game. And at the same event, you're going to need to have maybe an educational where people can come and upskill themselves in information around health and have experts to talk to as well. And in that type of environment, you can address all three brains, but often when we're designing events like that, or we're designing community outreach, or really looking to engage our people, we're often only thinking with our mind in mind. And as a result, we don't touch on everybody's needs, and we don't make as many people feel as welcome as what we can, just understanding some of this stuff. So the big positive to all of this is that it makes it predictable. You don't have to do any guesswork. There's been around about 17,000 people put through this data set. There's been 17 years of research, so much so that all you need is actually a tape measure and to sit through a questionnaire, and you can get all of this information, and it has incredible accuracy when it comes to what a person needs and what's going to be best for their health as well. So what this looks like in the real world for trainers is that as part of their normal process, they would introduce them to the gym. They would make sure they feel comfortable in the way that's appropriate for them, but then they would actually support them to set up a workout plan and a meal plan, and even a mindset and a motivation that really suits that individual, rather than it just being a generic approach. So, and that's really where a lot of our focus is in educating health professionals so that they can really provide the right support for the right person in front of them right now. Because if you train someone at the wrong time, just like my friend, you get injured, or you're much more likely to get injured. If you're eating the wrong thing, you can eat great foods for 12 months and not budge with your weight. And then if you make the changes to your timing and the specific changes to different vegetables or different protein sources, it actually will allow your body to release weight. And then not to mention, if you've got a trainer who knows that they've got an information person in front of them, and they can keep providing that information, and the gym can support that role in providing information to that member's going to stay much more engaged than if they were just there and being treated like everybody else. So we then, even outside the client and their result, this information actually allows you to target your market as well. We know that some people are going to be looking for a community nurturing gym. We know that some people are going to be looking for a data-driven gym where you get results. It's all about high performance. And we know there's going to be other people who want fun boot camps, lots of variety, lots of change, and lots of challenge. And you can actually tailor your language, you can tailor your marketing copy, all of that to the type of people that you want to increase in your community. And all of this is done just through understanding the different genetics of the brains. We know there's 6 major types that are going to heavily influence the way a gym should interact with them. And then obviously people are individuals, but there's general guidelines like I've just delivered there that really allow you to get very specific about who you're attracting to your gym, and then also how to support them maximally once they're there. So
Cam, tell me, I was reading obviously about 360. Just explain to the listeners about how you incorporate a person's ancestry, their health history, and the environment that they're living in. Because obviously, our demographic is different. We have a demographic where, people might have more money than others, so their lifestyle is completely different, as opposed to, the family around the corner who are on a strict income, but they need to improve their health because they need to be there for the family. So how does 360 help these people?
Okay, firstly, just to answer the ancestry, within the questionnaire, there is a lot of questions about ancestry, the environment, where you live, and then within the app itself, it actually says, okay, you live right here, we can see that. The weather for you right now is like this, and we're actually going to change what your foods are doing to help support your body in that weather. So if we know your ancestry as well, that'll actually influence the outputs that we've got. So there's a lot of technology built into the back end that actually allow you to track your environment in your real time, and it'll then apply changes to foods that really help you modify how your body's handling that environment. And when it's coming to the situation of different socioeconomic groups, a really good way to think about it is, obviously not everyone can go out and buy organic foods and, be buying all the latest exercise equipment or have, personal training, all that sort of stuff to keep them supported. But what this application does, it says, look, if you're going to change one thing, then change this. It's going to allow you for what you can alter and what you can modify based on your means, it'll say, this is the best thing that you should do, or this is where you can really start, and this will make the biggest difference. So really, in that way, we can make a greater bang for buck for that person, even if they can't afford all the bells and whistles that go along with pursuing some fitness goals.
So let me get this right. You're saying that the app will change the type of exercise I should be doing and the type of food that I should be eating because of the weather outside.
So generally the foods are going to be a lot more influenced by the weather. But when, let's say that you go and let's say you go to an island and it's really warm, what you want to be thinking about, you want to be taking your shirt off, you want to be jumping into your swimmers, you want to be having cooling foods. You don't feel like really stodgy kind of foods as well. Your body actually changes when you go into a different environment. And so your requirements actually change as well. We need foods that don't warm you up so much. We need foods that actually help cool you down. Whereas if you were to go to the South Island of New Zealand in the winter, or even Tasmania, something like that in the winter, your body's very cold. You start to rug up, and you're actually craving foods that are actually warmer and keep your temperature regulated. So similar to that very similar example right there, we know that in the winter, insulin and blood sugar levels are actually more poorly controlled. We know that blood pressure increases in the winter as well, and that if you've got a risk of blood pressure, we can modify, or the program actually modifies the foods to say, okay, during this season, it's going to be better that you get more of these foods because you're at risk of X, Y, Z, and in that way, it becomes very preventative for people. So yeah, it seems almost out of this world, but this is the science that we have now is absolutely incredible, and this is really the first application that's ever been developed that actually accounts for that information in a very systematic way and then allows you to create change in a simple way.
So Cam, correct me if I'm wrong, this app is actually an amazing retention tool for clubs, because if I'm a member at a club, I have this app, I can actually go on holidays and I can still keep my workouts up and I can keep my diet under control because the app is adjusting to my day-to-day living.
Absolutely. And not just that, it actually pushes notifications to say, oh, look, you've been in stress for the last 2 hours. You should do something about that now. It'll actually play a meditation that's specific to your brain that's going to help you. We even have sort of updates that tell you when to be eating, what to be eating, so that it really takes a lot of the guesswork out, and the trainer can really focus on making sure the training session is fantastic, knowing that there is a lot more support for their client in between sessions.
All right. So again, another question for the club owners. A lot of the clubs nowadays have the InBody scanner. How does the ph360 integrate with InBody?
Fantastic. So the ph360, through the anthropometrics and the tape measure, we get a body composition. However, what's really fantastic about the InBody scan is that you can put that more exacting data into the ph360 program, and it'll actually better inform the program as well. So in that way, we can get a much more accurate percentage body fat. You can throw that in, and in that way, the program will actually improve the outputs that it's got. The measurements that we have right now are absolutely adequate and they're fantastic. But with that InBody scan, you just get that next level of accuracy again. So it's very complementary to tools like that.
So just shortcapping our discussion this afternoon, how long does it take for a club member to do this test in the club?
Okay, so if a member was going to do the test, it would take them 35 minutes in the hands of a trained professional.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And then maybe 10 to 12 minutes of orientation, but we have a huge amount of support online that allows people to understand their information without needing excessive time on the floor with the trainer.
And you obviously work with the club owners to launch the program successfully?
Absolutely. So we have all the resources that you need. We give a huge amount of our IP away just to make sure that you can market to people the right way. We can help you put support structures in place so that people can carry it forward and actually take advantage of the information that they've got. And education of the trainers is something that we offer as well, which is very, very important if you're considering bringing this into your club.
And the financial rewards for clubs.
Yeah, so over the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a huge movement in personalized health for everyone, and we've made it very, very affordable for everyone. There's actually no cost to the club at all. All they need to do, particularly if they're a small to medium club, all they need to do is get in touch with us. They just need to get a link, a web link that they can then pass on to their members. They can put that on flyers. They can put that on their digital screens. They can put it on an email, and all the client has to do is enter their details into that link, register with ph360, and then the profit share goes to the club straight to their bank with absolutely no fuss, and we take care of the rest of the registration process.
That sounds amazing. Now, Cam, I know that you're on the public speaking circuit in 2018. So before we close off with our podcast today, could you please let our listeners know where you're speaking?
Absolutely. So we run ph360 mastery courses 12 times through the year, and I'll be presenting at each of those, 3 in New Zealand and 9 in Australia. I'll also be presenting at the Australian Society of Lifestyle Medicine National Conference. I'm on the scientific board for that organisation. And then Philex and FitX, I'll be talking at both of those, April for Philex and then November for FitX as well.
Sounds fantastic. Now, where can our listeners get in touch with you?
If you want to get in touch about any of this, the best email address is hpsupport@ph360.me. That's HP, H for Harry, P for Peter, support@ph360.me.
All right. I'll be dropping all of Cam's details into the bottom of our podcast, should our listeners have missed those. Cam, it's been a pleasure having you on our coffee podcast today. I absolutely love the app. I think it's a great retention tool for clubs. I love the fact that it integrates with InBody. I can see it being a great financial and retention reward for club owners, and I wish you all the success with ph360.
Thanks so much for having me, Mel. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Cam.
Bye.
Thank you for joining the Gym Owners Podcast, sponsored and supported by National Fitness Business Alliance and Gym Click Media. Find Mel Tempest on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Join us next time for the Gym Owners Podcast.